Hello, my name is Farah. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my March TBR. One goal or resolution that I've had recently, not necessarily for the new year, but more as a recent college graduate, is to read more, specifically more fiction, because from like the 4 years that I was in college, and even before that, like in high school, I wasn't really reading a lot for pleasure. I was just kind of reading what I needed to read for my classes. So since I've graduated, I've been consuming a lot more bookish content on YouTube. I've found a lot of great booktubers that I really enjoy watching, and in particular, I love to see what other black girls are reading and what they're saying about those books. And as you can probably tell from the title, this TBR is special because it's my TBR for a readathon that I'm participating in March. So for the month of March, I will be participating in the Games Readathon, which was created by Erin over at Booked and Busy. She's incredible. She reads so many books and she's so entertaining to watch. I definitely recommend her channel. And this is such a creative readathon. So it's based around the Red Rising series, so that's why it's called the War Games readathon, and there are 3 different paths that you can go down, which will determine which prompts you follow for the books you read. And the premise of this readathon is quality over quantity, so it's not about how many pages or books you read, it's about how many like 5-star books you read. So I think it's like scaled by 10, so if you give one book a 5-star rating, that's 50 points for your team, 4 stars, 40 points, and so on. And then if you DNF a book, it's 0 points. And the prompts are super compelling. So there are 3 co-hosts for this readathon. Erin, who's heading the dark team, Nicole from Nicole and Her Books, who's heading the gray team, and Alana from The Awkward Book Nerd, who's heading the light team. And within each team, there are like 3 different paths that you can go down. So for the dark team, it's the Dark Lord, the Assassin, and the Temptress. For the gray team, it's the Thief, the Rebel, and the Lost Heir. And for the light team, it's the Chosen One, the Sage, and the Ruler. I'm gonna link all 3 of their videos below, so in case you want to also participate in this readathon, you can choose your team. I was like so inspired by this idea for a readathon and all of the different prompts that I invited a couple of my friends to do it with me. And it's so cute. We all chose different teams. So one of my friends is on the light team, one is on the gray team, and I'm gonna be on the dark team. I've chosen the Temptress path. But honestly, all of the different paths were so interesting to me. Like, I almost chose the Dark Lord because that one has a prompt about like a book that you've put down, and truly there are so many books that I've put down and not gotten back to, like Jade War, which I put down because I'm very scared to like finish that and have to wait for Jade Legacy to come out. I put down Queenie for some reason and never got back to it. I was also really eyeing the Assassin path, which has a prompt that asks you to read a novella or short story, and the Rebel path, which includes both a book under 300 pages and a graphic novel or manga. Each path has 5 prompts, except I think the Sage, which has 6, and 5 books in a month is a big ask for me at this point. Like, previously, the most I think I've read in a month, like really recently, has been like 1.5 books, so 5 was a big ask. So I was definitely looking at those prompts like, a short story or novella or a manga, you say, maybe like that will make it more doable for me. I also came really close to picking either the Chosen One or the Sage because I really identify with the light team and the character archetypes underneath that, because I'm very wholesome. But ultimately I ended up putting together this big long list of books that I really want to read and going through kind of like cross-referencing which books could fit where, and figuring out that the path that would allow me to read 5 books that I think I really have a good chance of rating 5 stars is the Temptress path. So I'm gonna go through the books that I picked for each prompt and talk about them a little bit. So the first prompt for the Temptress path is to read a new release, and this was definitely the one that I struggled the most with because I don't really keep up with new releases for books as much as I do for like shows or movies. I usually just read what my friends recommend or what I see on Booktube. But one of my friends told me that she knew someone who recently read and really loved Honey Girl, and I also saw Mina Reed's Goodreads recommendation of this, and based on that, I knew that this is what I had to read. Mina is definitely one of my favorite booktubers. She's the reason why I read Jade City, and she had such high praise for this book. She talked about how it was really good for people who are going through existential crises right now. And it also plays on the married in Vegas trope, except it's with a sapphic romance. So like, when I heard that it was the Married in Vegas thing, I was like, oh, I've definitely heard this talked about on BookTube before. But if I had known it was a sapphic romance, I would have been more tuned in. So, Honey Girl has come in the mail. Isn't it so pretty? It's so cute. Honey Girl is by Morgan Rogers. It's an Own Voices debut, so this is Morgan Rogers' first book. And Morgan Rogers is a queer black millennial. She writes books for queer girls who are looking for their place in the world. She lives in Maryland with her pets. She lives in Maryland? Wow. This is kismet. With her newly completed PhD in astronomy in hand, Grace Porter goes on a girls' trip to Vegas to celebrate. She's a straight-A, hardworking high achiever. She is not the kind of person who goes to Vegas and gets drunkenly married to a woman whose name she doesn't know, until she does exactly that. This one beautiful, spontaneous moment upends Grace's carefully laid life plans. Staggering under the weight of her parents' expectations, a struggling job market, and feelings of burnout, Grace flees her home in Portland for a summer in New York with the wife she barely knows. In New York, she's able to ignore all the constant questions about her future and falls hard for her creative and gorgeous wife, Yuki Yamamoto. But when reality comes crashing in, Grace must face what she's been running from all along: the fears that make us human and the need for connection, especially when navigating the messiness of adulthood. And you know, I feel like I'm going to relate a little bit too hard to Grace Porter. Like, the black girl in STEM aspect of this, I'm really ready to be seen and called out and ready to cry a lot, probably, because the messiness of adulthood, the struggling job market, like, honestly, if I cared more about my mental state, I probably wouldn't read this for a while, but I'm going to, and I'm excited to. I'll probably do a review on this, and I'm thinking about doing a reading vlog when I get to this, or just for the month of March in general. But yeah, this sounds excellent, truly excellent. The next prompt for the Temptress Path is read from a new author, and honestly, this was probably one of the easiest. Like, there are so many authors out there, and if they're a fiction author who's not Fondly, I probably haven't read them before. So my friend Samia has been recommending me Six of Crows for a while, so I decided that I would read that. I was trying to figure out what it was about because I didn't really have any idea, and a lot of people were saying that I should read the Grisha Trilogy before, and I don't know what that is, but apparently it's like the basis for the new Netflix show Shadow and Bone. I will not be reading that before Six of Crows just because I don't want to change around my TBR again, even though I've heard that like I would get more out of Six of Crows if I read that trilogy first. I'm not gonna do it. But Six of Crows is probably the one on this list that I know the least about, but I know it involves 6 main characters and a heist. I'm interested. Robbery, thievery, fraud, I'm tuned in. The third prompt for the Temptress Path is to read a grimdark, true crime, or horror, and I did not want to do that. Because this readathon is based on the Red Rising series, Red Rising is a wild card that you can sub in for any prompt, so I will be subbing Red Rising in for this prompt. So instead of reading a grimdark, true crime, or horror, I'm reading Red Rising, which I think is a dystopian fantasy. It's about this future world where everyone's divided into this system based on colors, and I think our main character Darrow is a red, and that's like the lowest of the low, and the Reds are terraforming Mars, and the thought is that someday people will be able to inhabit Mars, but all along the Reds have actually been enslaved and people have been living on Mars for a long time already. So it's about Darrow, I think, like infiltrating the ranks of the elites, which are golds, I think, and I don't know, breaking it down from the inside, freeing his people, hopefully. So it sounds really interesting to me, and I can't wait to read it. One of the blurbs I saw when I went to check out Red Rising on Libby said that Darrow was similar to Katniss Everdeen, and I really liked the Hunger Games when I read those in middle school and high school, so I'm excited. The fourth prompt is to read a science fiction, and the sci-fi that I've chosen for this is Do You Dream of Terror 2, which I learned about on Erin's channel. This is by an author named Temi O, who is a black woman, and when I heard sci-fi by a black woman, I was like, oh, absolutely, I would like that, yes please. I was reading more about her, and she sounds super interesting. Like, she was born in London to Nigerian parents, and she went to King's College and graduated with a BS in neuroscience. Like, I want to read the passage about her in the back of the book. Temi O graduated from King's College, London in 2015 with a BS in neuroscience. Her degree provided great opportunities to write and learn about topics ranging from philosophy of the mind to space physiology. While at KCL, Temi founded and ran a book club called Neuroscience Fiction, where she led discussions about science fiction books that focus on the brain. In 2016, she received an MA in creative writing from the University of Edinburgh. She currently lives in London, England. So a black girl who writes science fiction and studied neuroscience and then studied creative writing, like, I'm interested right now in pursuing neuroscience as like a master's or maybe PhD. It's so interesting to me to find someone who looks like me and shares my interests, because I'm so interested in the brain and also in writing and like creative efforts and storytelling. So this was really cool. And she also has immigrant parents like me. So I'm very excited to read this book. Aside from the fact that it was written by Temi O, I was also really interested in the premise of this book, so I'm gonna read the back. Have you ever hoped you could leave everything behind? Have you ever dreamed of a better world? Can a dream sustain a lifetime? A century ago, an astronomer discovered an Earth-like planet orbiting a nearby star. She predicted that one day humans would travel there to build a utopia. Today, 10 astronauts are leaving everything behind to find it. 4 are veterans of the 20th century space race, and 6 are teenagers who have trained for this mission most of their lives. It will take the team 23 years to reach Terra 2. 23 years locked in close quarters. 23 years with no one to rely on but one another. 23 years with no rescue possible should something go wrong. And something always goes wrong. Doesn't that sound interesting? Ooh, and like kind of cryptic. And I feel like this book unlocked rooms in my brain that I forgot about. Hearing what this book was about reminded me of how much I really loved science fiction as a child. And like I would read graphic novels and book series like, what was it called? The Remnants by, I think that's Kay Applegate, and the Clone Codes by the McKissicks, who I recently learned were black authors. And it made me kind of like want to go back to those books, because I was realizing how big science fiction, like how big of a role that played in my childhood. And like, is that why I was so interested in technology and engineering? That's like, I don't know, this it really got me thinking about my formative years. I also think a lot of the appeal for this book for me lies within my love for travel, like not just being at the other destination, but also the act of getting there. And I'm just so interested in like scenarios where there's a long-term close quarters trip or journey. And so that taking place in a context like this, where this trip is gonna be most of these people's lives, is going to be getting to this new planet, is so interesting to me, and I can't wait to see what happens. And that line at the end about something always going wrong, yeah, I'm very intrigued. I can't wait to get to this. And I think the cover is so cute. Like, this is very aesthetic. The 5th and final prompt for the Temptress Path is to read a booktuber recommendation. Again, this was another really easy one for me. I've heard about this book from a number of different booktubers. Most recently, I heard about it on Emma Book's channel, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea. Isn't this so cute? Isn't this cover precious? Like, I really love the colors. I've heard great things about this. I've heard that it's really wholesome. The blurb on the top says this book is very close to perfect. So, The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Clune. It's about this man named Linus Barker, who is a caseworker at the department in charge of magical youth, and the premise is that he has to go and check on these orphans who are magical, but they have really, I was gonna say powerful powers. So he's tasked with determining whether these 6 orphan children are so dangerous that they could bring about the apocalypse, which is, I guess, the highest possible stakes. But along the way, he falls in love with the children. There's supposed to be a really cute queer romance in here, so I'm excited to see that play out. I know it's supposed to have really comforting found family themes, so I'm very excited for that. I've just heard that this book is really wholesome. It's kind of like reminiscent of middle grade, and yeah, it's a beautiful hardcover, so I'm very excited for this one. So yeah, those are my picks for the War Games Readathon. I'm so excited to get started on these, and I think the order I want to go in, I'm either thinking of starting with Red Rising to get me really in the spirit of the readathon, since that's what it's based on, or starting with Do You Dream of Terra 2, which is the longest book. It's 544 pages, and I've also seen like the most mixed reviews for this one, so a lot of people didn't like it because they said it was too sad, but I don't think that that is a problem I'm gonna have with it. But yeah, if it is disappointing to me, then I want to knock that out first and not like end on a sour note. But I think I will start with Red Rising because I ordered that from Barnes & Noble and it hasn't reached me, but I think it's available on Libby, so I think I'll start reading the ebook for that first, and then I'll do this second. I don't think I want to do this one first because Amazon sent it to me a little bit like, it's pretty banged up, and it, like there's some water damage, and it's supposed to be brand new. Amazon didn't even send it in a box, just in like a padded bubble wrap envelope. So it's like, Amazon, what are you doing? You have all the resources to do better, and this is what you do. The monopoly they have is scary. If they send me another copy and it doesn't look good, what am I gonna do then? But Anyway, I think I'll do Red Rising first, Do You Dream of Terror 2 second, third, I think I will do Six of Crows, and then after Six of Crows, my penultimate read will be The House in the Cerulean Sea, and then I'll finish with Honey Girl, which I think I will have an emotional breakdown after. So that's my reasoning. Like, Honey Girl is also the shortest one at 304 pages. I'll be able to have my little emotions and just like finish strong with the shortest, which will also be the book that I think I will probably see myself the most in, which might make me have an emotional breakdown. But yeah, I think Honey Girl will be a strong way for me to finish this readathon, and I'm hoping to finish in like 3 weeks because I have 2,128 total pages to read. So if I do like 100 pages a night, I can knock this out in 3 weeks. But I also want to give myself time to plan, film, and edit videos, watch shows and movies, play video games, and sleep. And also maybe do like a reading vlog or weekend vlog of some sort, even though I feel like the way that I'm living right now is not all that interesting. But who knows? I was also kind of thinking that a vlog might be a good excuse for me to get back into making music so that I can have some cute like background music to put in the vlog while I speed myself up reading or doing other stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for watching my TBR. If you are participating in the War Games Readathon, or even if you're not, let me know what you're reading below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye! Hello, my name is Farah. Welcome. Okay, let me actually look in the camera. Good lord. Oh, let me put my lip gloss on. What am I thinking? Heresy, honestly. So come on this camera without my Glossier red lip gloss. Who do I think I am? Hi, my name is Farah. I can't just give an intro. Like, this is truly the time, what I spend the most time on is trying to make my intro sound right. I'm so cute. Okay. One of my favorite booktubers, you should absolutely check her out. And this is like, and I've sat down and like worked it all out to see which, and working out like which so I'm going to go through Black girls who are having like existential crises right now, which and it's about a girl, I don't know her name. Oh, Grace Porter. Ooh, okay. And Morgan Rogers is a queer black robbery, thievery. I'm tuned in. Now, I could have chosen To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which I've been reading since like Christmas time. This is by an author named Temi O, who is, I think she's British and her parents are Nigerian. Let me actually confirm that, because what if I just said that and that was not true? You used to run this dispatch right once or twice. We'll check the technique. Yo, is the traffic accident?